Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy Reviews. I'm Alan Seawright, a professional filmmaker who needs therapy, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Jonathan Decker, a licensed therapist who loves movies. Oh man, I'm excited about today's movie.
I'm excited to speak no evil, so I'll just speak silent.
Okay, well, while you're being silent, I'll tell you folks at home what it's about. These are spoiler-free reviews, but we do offer brief synopsis, like basically what you get in the trailer. This movie is about an American family. They go on vacation in Italy, and they meet up with this English family who invite them to their house in the countryside. Very slowly, it becomes apparent that there are darker motives at play. Alan, what did you think of the movie?
I really enjoyed this movie. The cast is great. It's coming from Blumhouse. This is usually a recipe for a pretty good film. It just seemed like it was not going to be my personal taste in films, and I loved this movie.
Yeah.
I thought the tension building was fantastic, and I thought it was very brilliantly undercut by humor, and a lot of that humor was also like tense, awkward humor, kind of the Office, like Michael Scott brand, like, oh, did he really?
You don't criticize other people's children, you should say sorry.
It's okay. I'm sorry, Louise.
Louise, is there anything you'd like to say?
I was literally thinking that the biggest compliment I could pay this movie is that it made me as uncomfortable as Dinner Party, like that episode.
Yes! Oh my gosh, yes.
Michael and Jan seem to be playing their own separate game, and it's called Let's See How Uncomfortable We Can Make Our Guests. And they're both winning.
The effect that this had on the crowd that I watched it with in the theater last night was interesting. Because I'm a person who needs therapy, I was just laughing uproariously a bunch. And a bunch of inappropriate things too.
Oh my gosh.
But there was a C word drop that really made me cackle.
I know exactly the one, and that's not a word that usually makes me laugh, but I died.
No.
I was crying, I was in tears. Yeah.
No, it was brilliantly deployed to cut some tension right in the height of the third act, like absolute,
when things are terrifying, yeah. And I give credit to James McAvoy for that. McAvoy? Anyways, he really gets a chance to shine. So does Mackenzie Davis. When I went in, I'm like, well, from the trailers, I'm going to get to watch James McAvoy do terrifying like he did in Split, and I'm so excited. And I figured the movie would be okay.
Oh, well, that is very sweet of you to say.
The movie was really fun, but deeply unsettling. Like, it really got under my skin. I feel like the direction, I mean, you could comment on this because you're the director, it really felt workmanlike. It really felt like it's there just to tell the story, get out of the way, and let the actors shine and let the script shine.
I would like to clarify, Jono said I'm the director. I'm a director. I did not direct this film.
No, you're not the director of this film. You're the director between the two of us.
Jono, I am going to push back a little bit against your workmanlike comment. This felt like a film from a quality journeyman director in the highest tradition of that Hollywood system of journeyman directors. And it actually takes a huge amount of work to get the direction and the editing completely out of the way. I never once felt an edit in this movie, and I never once felt a shot in this movie, right? There weren't any big flashy, ooh, there's a oneer that lasts forever, or there's this beautiful, we're gonna zoom in and tilt and rotate, it was doing the job that it needed to do to convey the tension and convey the suspense and make you feel deeply uncomfortable. And doing all three of those things without ever making you notice actually takes a huge amount of craft. And that's exactly what James Watkins brought to this. And that comes from, in the old Hollywood system, you had to deliver really quickly and really efficiently, so the studio bosses made money, something that highlighted the actors, which is what this movie does, and tells the story and just kind of gets out of the way in the minimum amount of shots, in the minimum amount of setups, and you only have $15 million to make this movie go.
I need to say, I was introduced to James McAvoy was Mr. Tumnus in Narnia.
That's a bit of a turn.
the most non-threatening character I can think of this side of Dobby the House Elf, and he's establishing himself as one of the great actors of this generation. He just disappears.
Absolutely.
And Mackenzie Davis was also great for me. Those were the two standouts. I feel like everybody else also just kind of showed up and hit their marks and did what they needed to do.
They're definitely the biggest characters in terms of they have a lot to do and a lot to emote. To me, really, the glue that held this movie together, though, was Scoot McNairy, who
really,
I think Scoot has been done a disservice by having that first name. He is a brilliant actor who nobody takes seriously because his name is Scoot. But no, I thought he did a brilliant job of being sympathetic and also unlikable, which is a weird combination.
Well, and that brings us to who's this movie for and what the themes are, because his character is representative of the theme of the film, which is boundaries, why we need boundaries, what happens when we don't draw boundaries. And I'm going to circle back to that in just a second. But first, let's talk about who's this movie for? Who would really enjoy this movie? What do you think?
If you love a good scare, this is a great film. If you love a good slow ratchet of tension, this is a great film. If you just can't get enough of weird, awkward, passive aggressiveness, this movie's for you. I cannot overstate how deeply awkward and uncomfortable so much of this movie was.
Yes. But to that end, something I appreciated about this film is it is rated R, but it doesn't feel gratuitous. There's hardly any violence until the third act, cat and mouse, everyone's fighting for survival. And even then, even though there is some gore, they don't linger on it, and it's not it's there long enough to show you what's happening and to give you the effect, and they move on.
If you like cerebral thrills and weird awkwardness, this movie is definitely for you. Jonathan, who is this movie not for?
I would say there's a trigger warning for people who've been in abusive relationships with passive-aggressive gaslighters. This film actually does have a lot of helpful things to say about that. And in that sense, this movie can be cathartic for people who have been through that. But at the same time, it has to present it to get you there. So just be aware.
Yeah, could be good exposure therapy. Might just be exposure. You got to judge for yourself where you're at. So, Jonathan, what can this movie do to help people?
I would say the entire theme of this movie is boundary setting. Why we need it, why we fail to do it, and what it costs us when we don't do it. To that end, I've come up with a few questions for you to bring to the theater if you're looking for psychological need to help you in your life. Why do some characters fail to draw boundaries for themselves and how they will and won't be treated? If you've seen on our Cinema Therapy channel, our episode on Tangled and gaslighting, you know all about this, but gaslighting is the passive-aggressive practice of getting others to question their own judgment, deny their own internal warnings, and accept your perspective as the only legitimate one.
Christ, Patty, he's a child.
What is wrong with you? Why are you talking to him like that?
Now you're parenting our child.
Because we do things differently.
Wow.
In what ways does the antagonist display gaslighting behaviors throughout this movie? And then finally, at one point, a character asks another, why are you doing this? What I want you to look for is why is the response so significant? And what can you learn from it to protect yourself in life and in relationships?
I lost sleep tonight thinking about the answer to that question.
So did I. Oh my gosh.
I was laying awake at 2 a.m. going, yeah, why did he do that? Oh no.
So Alan, based on all the factors at play, what rating would you give it?
Now, our ratings are personal. It's our personal feelings on the film. In terms of quality, this is really close to a 10.
Yeah.
In terms of my just sheer enjoyment of this type of movie, it's an 8. So for me, it's a 9. This was a really good film, and I just don't want it in my life. Is the only issue.
To start, a 7 out of 10, purely just because I have a hard time enjoying something this uncomfortable for this long. But it's a 10 for what it set out to do. And then also there were a few times where I got frustrated by characters making stupid decisions.
Yes.
But then you've got Mackenzie Davis being a badass. You've got Scooby, what's his name?
Scoot McNairy.
Scoot McNairy. Yeah, absolutely crushing it. And James McAvoy, man, elevated the whole thing. So for me, it's definitely an 8 out of 10. If you want an enjoyable thriller, if you want to clutch the arm of the person you care about, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 for you. Levels out to 8.5.
So let us know what you thought about Speak No Evil in the comments below. If you have any other questions we can answer about the film, let us know.
This channel is very much in its infancy, so we're always looking for your feedback for how we can meet your needs better. What did you think of this week's episode compared to last week's, and how can we be even better?
So until next time, watch
movies
at the theater.